Hey guys, wanted to let you know that it is part number 2 of Day 9 Daily number 419 where, I'm not going to lie, we learned to be a better gamer. Whoa! It's Newbie Tuesday today, and we're exploring the idea of changing one thing at a time. We looked at a 7-minute and 46-second game between the Muslim and Violet, and even though it was a fairly compact game space, short game in other words, I don't know why I made it used big fucking words. Even though it was a short game, we got the chance to explore what could have gone wrong in depth. And we made one adjustment. Not 2 or 3 or 4 or this many. One. That's it. That's all you need to do. I do want to note that if, for instance, you are somewhere between Bronze and Masters, I think the only people who don't do this are Grandmasters. Let's say you get supply blocked, and you end up getting a lot of minerals as a result. What I don't want you to do is say, well, my money's high, I should have macroed. Ugh. I don't want you to just make those clean statements. Go ahead and open up the replay, rewatch it, and determine how much an influence the macro would have had on your play. I want you to be adjusting one thing, but I want you to be adjusting the proper one thing. If, for instance, you have 400 minerals, and you're like, I should have spent those minerals, envision yourself spending those minerals on what you could have. Let's say you only have a spawning pool, so it's only Zerglings. That's what? 8 sets of Zerglings? That's 16 Zerglings? Would 16 Zerglings have really swung the tide of the battle? If the answer is no, then just don't do that adjustment. By the same token, if you're Bronze, Silver, and your money's at 3,000 at the 15-minute mark, you can focus on that if you want. You can focus on strategy if you want. You can say something like, okay, I know my macro sucks and I want to work on that, and that will only help, but you know what? I'm going to focus on getting tanks instead of Marines this game, because when I did that, I ended up losing. So let me go for tanks this time. That's fine. What I want to encourage the Bronze, Silver, Gold folk to do is that if your money's getting high, don't just say, macro sucks. Go ahead and weigh, should I be working on macro, should I be working on strategy? It will almost always help to work on building probes, building pylons, and keeping your money low. But there's nothing wrong with just saying, I don't want to work on macro today. I want to build different things. And that's great too. That's really nice. So you have that sort of freedom. As long as it's one thing that's well thought out, clean, wonderful, you're good to go. Let's hop into another. Whoa, the overlay! That would imply this section's done and dead and gone, but it's not, because I'm still here. Here's the daily. Great. We have a game between Nerchio and Not Why Not. And we're going to see Nerchio do a fairly simple strategy. He's going to be going for a very fast Mutalisk strategy. So right now, we're at ×8 speed. If you're experiencing some lag in the video, that's normal, because I have just one computer to both run a game at ×8 speed and do the encoding at ×8 speed, which is a little bit rough. There is the very fast Zergling speed. We see Nerchio leaving one guy in gas to get up to 100 gas. There's an expansion that he throws down. Ordinarily, when a player goes for Mutalisks, he will not do this. He will not do this. We also see in camp Not Why Not. He is going. We see some anger. We see Not Why Not going for just a big gateway strategy, getting the extra +1 weapons, going for, it looks like a 7-gate, pretty typical at this point in time. With this pylon here, we see Nerchio killing things off. We see the spine crawlers coming up as well, and this is a pretty important thing to note. Spine crawlers finish, Zerglings stream in. We are not nearly close enough to holding it off. Not nearly at all. Nerchio loses to a whole bunch of Zealots streaming into his base, and he's really unable to hold it off. So at this point in time, we have a pretty simple game. I mean, the way I would describe it, if for some reason you were trying to do this sort of thing, is that I went for Fast Mutilus and it didn't work. So there you go. How do we make this work? Let me give a big adjustment. A huge adjustment. What if we simply didn't get this third expansion up? That would make things a lot easier. At the 6-minute mark, it seems that's around the time when we go ahead and take a drone down to this southern this southern expansion area, and we take this expansion. There it is. It's a little bit late, but as you can see, we're about to get a layer up, and it looks like our good friend Nerchio goes ahead and times his economy perfectly. Look at his money. It is down to 0. 45-20. Brilliantly done. Absolutely brilliantly done. But let's go ahead and make a small adjustment. By looking at all these small adjustments one at a time, by going through a whole bunch of examples, we get the chance to see really good players who have good macro, who have good micro, who don't forget their supply depots. We get to see them in positions where they lose easily. And that's one thing that I kind of debated during this daily. Do I show silver to platinum level games? Do I show S-class player level games? Do I show top European, top North American level games? And the answer is I don't want to show these silver to platinum level games because sure, macro is a big problem in there, sure, micro is a big problem in there, and strategy can be an issue. But I want to show that when our macro and our micro is fixed and our supply depot missing is fixed, that we still have things to work on. Cool. Hopping into this game, what we would do is we would hop back into... whoopsie daisies, I didn't hit the go back button. If we hop into this game, we see Nerchio is in good spot. He has a Spire started. It's at a time like this that we see that the big kill that came in was with this 6 Warp Gate attack strategy. And it happens around 8:30. 8:30 is the time when we see a whole bunch of units. We try to kill off the sentries. We come back here and we start ourselves a whole bunch of spine crawlers. As quickly as we humanly can. Now I'm going to be asking the chat in the moment, what is an adjustment that we should make? A small adjustment we should make is maybe automatically building these spine crawlers starting at 8 minutes and 30 seconds. But you know what? I'm going to make that statement. It's very easy if you're Nerchio in this position to lose this game and to think to yourself, damn it, I really need to get these spine crawlers up earlier. But we see that the spine crawlers are done when the attack commences. The Zerglings are present a little bit late when the attack commences. And it just doesn't work out. So in this position, I would make one of 2 adjustments. Nerchio is going to end up losing the game in about 20 seconds. In this case, I would say something like... Actually, let me back up. Let me back up for a moment. Let me just blow up this into a big generalization. We went for a strategy, and we lost really easily. Generally, this is a sign that either you're doing your strategy far too quickly. An example would be trying to get your Spire done by 8 minutes and get an expansion. You can do that, and I know this because I've tried. You can do it, but you have 0 units and you die easily. You're getting it too soon, or you're getting it way too late. You know, where, for instance, you try to get the Mutalisks up to do harass, but because you're getting Mutalisks at the 20-minute mark, they don't really do much of anything, and you're sitting here passively, tightly nervous. I think Nerchio in this position got it a little too fast. So that's the thing I want you to look for in your games. Am I getting the strategy that I want to do a little bit too fast? If the answer is yes, then cool, I just slow it down a little bit. And make sure you don't just say slow it down. Make sure you say things like, I'm getting my spine crawlers earlier, I'm getting roaches up earlier, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. In my eyes, if I had to choose anything to change in this strategy, I would probably say don't take this third base if I'm going for ultra-fast Spire. In this game, we see that Nerchio, I think it's maybe around 7 minutes. Yeah, there it is. If Nerchio throws this down and then decides to go for a layer, which we see right here, I would probably go Roaches at this point in time. I probably wouldn't try to go Spire. So what is my one adjustment? Leave guys in gas, screw the third, go straight for Spire. Boom, done. And then I want to deal with that. Sweet. You can do another adjustment. You know what? I'm going to not go Spire. I'm going to build the Roach Warren first. If I see he's attacking, I'm going to build Roaches, build Spines, hold off the attack, and then go Spire. Notice how we have two different adjustments we could make. Really fast Spire and no third, or really fast third and getting Roaches just in case. We have these two different things that we could get. But the important thing is that we thought really hard about both. We looked at that game, realized that no matter what we really did with our spine crawlers, we were still probably screwed. How can we end up fixing that? And the answer is probably not. We're going to go into another nice short game. It's between OGS Supernova, again from ESL Sao Paulo, or IM Sao Paulo. There's Illusion down in the south corner. Now what I want to do is describe what. This game is 15 minutes long. We're going to look at the first, I'm going to say 10 or 11 minutes. Right now, what I really want to see, what I really want to see is if these big moments are good or bad. OGS Supernova opens up with a Reaper. We're talking about what, not why so much. We see double gas going down. We see, two in each refinery. Cool. This is very Thorzane-esque. We have a combat shield coming down. Reapers and Hellions. Oh me, oh my. Breaking our front door down. This could seem very potentially bad for Vile Illusion. We should look back to around the 6:30 or 7-minute mark for when that happens. But interestingly enough, what I liked about this game is that at the 8-minute and 21-second mark, we see in the unit counting station, Vile Illusion a little bit behind on SCVs, 22 to 28. It's actually pretty large at this point in time. At this point in time, whoa, screen. At this point in time, we still see, though, that the food count is fairly even. So I want you to envision walking into this game, your friend is watching it, and you see, 39 to 36. Pretty even game. Nothing out of the ordinary at all. At this point in time, we're going to see Vile Illusion try to withstand a little bit of heat. Banshee's going to be doing 9 kills worth of damage. He's going to lose the Banshee. You know what? Hell, why not? Let's walk through the whole thing. Their foods are still fairly even. Factory down at the backside. Youch. Whole bunch of harassment from the Banshee. That's up to 8 kills now. We're trying desperately to get some kind of medevac up. And whoa, day 9. Look at those foods. 100 to 76. Yuck. Supernova even pushing at our front sides. Not going to be too pretty. We try to do some micro, but GG, we don't end up winning. Now, that's a pretty interesting thing to note that at the 11-minute mark, which is where I'm paused at, Supernova, if we look, he has the expansion up. He has a ton of barracks. He's making some tanks. We see one out right now. In this base, we see not even the starport done, even though it's done over here with reactor. We see our expansion with not that much mining at it. Looks like 6 SCVs and a mule. And up here, tons of stuff going on, even the gas geysers. And we even pull back to the 7-minute mark, we see another attack going on here with all these Hellions. So, this is the point where it feels like there's two weird moments that happen, because at this 7-minute mark, this feels horrific, right? This feels terrible. But at this 10-minute mark, when we go ahead and look at the food, actually I guess at the 9-minute mark is a little bit better of an example. They're near even. There's two moments in this game where it feels like we could stop and ask ourselves, what is the adjustment that we're making for the next game? I like this game because it's pretty simple, pretty clean, pretty clear. Not too much complicated stuff going on. But what I love is that there's two moments here, and the important thing is that you just choose one. I think the worst curse that you can ever have, one of the biggest sources of ladder anxiety, is the source of there's too much to fix, I know how much I'm doing wrong, and I can't possibly do all of them. Don't worry about it. Not even pros do all of them. Pros lose so much. Pros lose a metric shit ton. They lose all the time. And it's great to lose. Losing's awesome. As long as you can just pick out one thing that's going wrong, cool. A lot of times ladder anxiety is that you know there's 100 things you need to be working on, and it's too hard to fix 100 things in a game. So let's just pick one. In this game, I'm going to pick the first time when I really felt hot in my face. What does it mean to be hot in your face? I felt like I was an idiot. And that's nothing wrong with that. When you feel like you're an idiot, all you have to do is just be like, I felt terrible. I don't want to do that again. Was it the key moment in the game? Was it not? Well, let's come back and look from the Vile Illusion cam. What he can see is a barracks with a tech lab and a factory coming up.
SCV ready. Gangway coming through.
So for the most part, we know Vile Illusion is likely going to be up against, some kind of Reaper plane, which we can see.
SCV ready.
We see him getting these two add-ons. So already, we're starting to feel a little bit like, well, these add-ons are coming on. In my mind, I'm saying something like, do we have enough to defend against a lot of Reapers? I felt a little bit in danger against 3 Reapers. Huge force sweeping on in, dealing tons of damage. We had 2 Reapers at the backside trying to protect. We couldn't arrange our army properly. And this thing came in. We try to kill off the Hellion. We try to kill off the Reaper.
This better be good.
We're trying to send some SCVs in. It's not working so well. Yuck, yuck, yuck. So let's name an adjustment that seems really solid. Let's name a nice little adjustment. I mean, I don't want to deviate too much. It's a big mistake to deviate too much. In my mind, I'm seeing some people type in the chat already. I really like the idea of maybe around the 5-minute mark of doing something like saying, if I see this Tech Lab add-on, I'll build a bunker here and load 2 Marines into it. I'll keep the rest here. That seems pretty straightforward. Only if I see this Tech Lab opening where I'm up against a Reaper. I'm either against a Reaper expand, in which case this bunker's fine, and there's not that much that will mess up my build, or I'm against a Reaper fast Hellion, and he's going to be doing some sort of huge push against me. What I don't want to do, let me tell you all the things not to do. Maybe I should get 1 Marauder. If I get a Marauder, that is going to eat pretty heavily into my resources. Marauders are pretty expensive at this point in time. Will I have enough for Tech Lab? Well, if I back up a little bit, there's the Tech Lab going down, and we see, well, maybe I could have thrown in a Marauder right there. I don't think the Marauder, and the Marauder is a slight change, but I don't think that'll change too much. Okay, now that I've said it out loud, I think I actually might disagree with myself. Wow, maybe a Marauder is an easy key to solving this problem of being up against a Reaper. That might be the most clever thing of all. Jeez, I'd never even thought of that. Wow. I threw out Marauder right now, and I'm like, wow, that's actually quite good. Let me pretend for a moment that I haven't considered the Marauder thing. Let me just throw it out of the window. Let's say we're only making Marines. I get this tech lab up. Will a Marauder save... Or, excuse me. If I build a bunker here, it may delay this second barracks.
Complete.
Do I really need the second barracks ultra quickly? I don't necessarily think so. Should I have gotten a reactor instead of a tech lab for this barracks? Probably would have resulted in the same situation. Should I have gotten no add-ons at all? Well, that maybe would have solved this a little bit. But what I like so much about the idea of a bunker, or as people are now continuing to say in the chat, a single Marauder, it is virtually no change at all to what our build is. Virtually none. And it seems to solve the problem that we just arrived at. The last thing that I want to do before we end up just going to the break and going into part number 3 is I want to say something like, well, okay, if we got a bunker, would that really screw up us against Fast Banshee? Would that really screw us up against, what are some other things? An early expand. Would that screw us up against fast reactor Hellions? We want to start listing everything else off and just make sure that we address this a little bit. I prefer the bunker to the Marauder. The Marauder might be able to tank the damage a little bit better against the Reaper and the Hellion. It'll still fall pretty fast. But I still like the idea of just building a bunker early on. And once you've decided at this point in time that, oh, I'm going to build a bunker and save myself, as I drag forward to the 9-minute mark, we see that Illusion is up against a Banshee. He's up against all these sorts of scary things going on. Oh, another Banshee. Banshee down here solving causing a couple more problems. I don't want us to worry as much about this. Or even worse, I don't want us to worry about the 12-minute mark when Supernova pushes out. Supernova's going to push out and do this huge attack. And Illusion's going to get wrecked. What I don't want you to do is look at this moment and go, what should I have done differently? What's beautiful about identifying that first big thing and fleshing that one out with one adjustment is that we can say to ourselves, don't give a shit about what else happened. I don't care. Let me give it one brief example. If a guy sneaks into your base with Blue Flame Hellions and kills off 100% of your SCVs, and it's still a 45-minute long game after that, you can say to yourself, oh god, that guy was so bad. If I hadn't lost all my SCVs, I would have won that game. It's a pretty clear, simple statement. But it's still important to make. It's still important to know that, yeah, it was this part earlier on. I generally like finding the first crisis, like at this 7-minute mark. I still like finding this first crisis and trying to make sure this doesn't happen before I worry about much of anything else. No matter what, make sure you just give yourself one adjustment to make and that you think through it. In part number 3, we're going to look at some slightly longer games, some slightly more ambiguous games, and we're going to list off some adjustments, and we're going to try to do them much more rapidly. We've gone through 3 games so far. We're going to try to go through 3 more. Going on to it in part number 3. See you.